Good afternoon, everybody. Today I have the privilege to speak with two wonderful people in the Indianapolis community, Blake Johnson, who is president of Indy Hub and Indy Hub Foundation, and Liz Holden, who is president and CEO of Catalytic Talent and is involved with the Indy Chamber of Commerce. Welcome today. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
It's our pleasure to learn more about the great things that IndyFluence is doing. So to kind of start, can you tell us a little bit about what IndyFluence is and how it came about?
Mm-hmm. Liz, you want to take it away? I'll go. That's fine. I'll go. Well, so IndyFluence started as a single-day event focused on interns from companies all over the city of Indianapolis with a goal of helping them network, meet people from the city, see what our community has to offer, and ultimately do a day of service in our community. This year, with the public health crisis that we faced, IndyFluence turned into a first-of-its-kind virtual experience that met the needs of over 500 interns from over 100 universities, 34 states, 3 countries. And what we did was we helped interns meet Indianapolis, learn from the leaders in Indianapolis, and ultimately give back. The goal really is to show that Indianapolis is a great place to start a career, to launch a life. And I think we did that over the course of the entire month of July.
So there are 3 kind of pillars when doing my research, right? Meet, learn, and serve. And so how can you kind of tell students and staff that are listening to this how that first piece works, like the meet part?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, from our perspective, meeting Indianapolis meant getting connected to all the things that make it special. So that was featuring on social media, different restaurants, amenities, historic sites. It was also hearing what it's like to call Indy home from some kind of big names. So we had James Hinchcliffe, IndyCar driver. We had Tamika Catchings, the WNBA Hall of Famer. We had Yesenia Sestada, who's a big player in the nonprofit space here in our community. And we asked them to share their own experiences, to share what spots they love, what neighborhoods they love, what sets Indianapolis apart. And for us, we really wanted to feature that being young in Indianapolis doesn't mean you have to wait your turn to make an impact, wait your turn to be able to take on leadership roles, that instead we're a city that kind of empowers young people pretty quickly, and that you can get involved right away and start to make this your city in a pretty awesome way.
Yeah. So then follow-up question on the learn. So what's the learning piece and what's involved with that?
Yeah, the learning is really giving people and giving the interns a chance to learn a lot about what they need as tools as they're going through their career, and to be able to deeply connect those tools to Indy through examples of leaders who are developing themselves and are still in their 20s and both achieving in their careers as well as in philanthropic and civic roles. And we were very fortunate this year with the large focus that has built over racial responsibility and racial equality to be able to really open up the conversation with programs called Ally for All and Make It Safe to Thrive, which were sponsored by 2 of the companies. But we really wanted to get that part of the dialogue in so they realize this is a relevant place and that we're not just acting in a vacuum.
Mm-hmm. And then lastly, with the serve part, what does that look like?
Yeah, so we phrased it, give back to Indy, and it's really exactly what it sounds like. You know, we offered the interns an opportunity to vote on the issue area that they wanted to leave a legacy in this community on. You got to remember, these interns were coming to us from all over the country and world. So we wanted to kind of showcase what nonprofits were getting up to, how they were serving our community. So we broke down some categories. The interns decided they wanted to focus in on diversity, equity, and inclusion. We introduced them to a handful of nonprofits working in that space, and they get to vote on who would receive a $10,000 donation provided by these partner companies in our fundraising efforts to make a really, really big impact for these nonprofits. And so this year, the winner of that award was the 100 Black Men of Indianapolis. Really was an exciting night when Joseph from 100 Black Men of Indianapolis received the award. It was an emotional moment. It was really cool. And then we also were able to give donations of $2,000 to each of the other partners here in Indiana And oh my goodness, why I'm going to blank on the last one, Liz. It was here, Indiana. And oh my gosh.
I am too, and I shouldn't be. It's only because we just did this. I'm visualizing the logo.
Horizon House. House.
Okay.
Took me a second.
I'm
Here,
glad
Indiana and Horizon House.
I was going to go look it up because it's like one of those things that's so near and dear. This has been a whirlwind of a program. So
yeah, we've been going straight for the entire month of July, no stops. So we're all catching up here.
Mm-hmm.
But they cast those votes, and the result is these interns got to make an impact on the city in a really, really big way. $14,000 impact is, as you know, nonprofits. You know, that's a hefty gift.
There's a lot of impact that can have on the lives. So if somebody is interested and is an intern, they have an internship in Indianapolis, how do they get involved with IndyFluence?
Yeah, the first and easiest way is to have an internship with one of the companies.
Okay.
And so the companies that are, and to urge the companies they're working with to participate. This year, we expected to have over 20 companies participating, and we made it easier for the interns to engage. With just the changes that occurred and the number of intern programs that were in a state of flux, we ended up having fewer companies, but we had 30 seats, which were offered to people who were college-age students who could attend all the programming and the networking sessions. So they still got that opportunity, even though they weren't in a corporate internship. Mm-hmm. So we're hoping for next year to have more of those seats for people who either don't have internships or with smaller companies that just aren't going to be able to support a program like this.
Mm-hmm.
Also important to note that in addition to actual involvement with the companies, the social media channels that we operate for IndyFluence are open and available to everyone. So every way that we're showcasing the city, showcasing young leaders, showcasing restaurants, all of that, that programming is available for people to see and experience in addition to being a part of one of the companies that are mm-hmm. providing the internships as well.
So on the, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, and you might be going there. I would say for your students, we would invite them to reach out if they have interest in being more engaged, because this is a program that's created to create a bigger pipeline. And so the companies aren't just looking at recruiting their own interns. They're looking to recruit people who want to start their careers here and then build their careers in Indy. So I think there's a lot of room that with, especially with the university and having the college students say, this is what I would like to do, could really make a difference.
Mm-hmm. I'd add one more point to Liz is also IndyHub is doing programming like IndyFluence all year long too. Okay. So, and we're open access, anyone can be a part of that. And that's indyhub.org to see all the different things that we put on throughout the year.
Perfect. And then in my working with companies, how might a company that is maybe interested in this approach IndyFluence?
They can go right to, as Blake was mentioning, the social media is still up. The website is still there. So they would be able to access and ask questions. They can feel free to reach out to me or to Blake, and we will make sure they get that. But I will make sure that those companies are able to get engaged.
Okay, perfect. Mm-hmm. And then really is there anything else that you want to share about IndyFluence that we didn't cover in here for student perspective, community perspective, anything that we did not cover about IndyFluence?
So I'd just quickly say, why this matters so much. And I think this is probably more for a community perspective. As a state, Indiana has the 9th highest amount of brain drain in the country, 9 out of 50 states, right? So we have to be thinking about what we can do to showcase, not just that we have great jobs, because we do. Indianapolis, the central Indiana region, we have extraordinary companies with great chances for personal professional growth. But we also have to highlight what it means to live here, what it means to call this place home, what it means to lead here. And that's what's going to be the difference maker. You know, we can tout our great jobs, but can we tout our great community? We know we have it. And this was an important piece of that. In addition to being the 9th highest in the country, you know, the simple reality is 1,000,000 20 and 30 somethings pack up and move every single year, 1,000,000 of them. And as a city, as a state, we've got to be on the receiving end of that population change. This is a mobile generation. Millennials, Gen Z, they will pack up and move for the right opportunity. We know those opportunities exist here, and we got to do a better job telling that story.
Yeah. And I think the thing for the students would be, when you listen to any advice you receive right now on how to find a job and how to start your career, given this virtual world, the thing that always shows up on the list is networking. And IndyFluence is networking on steroids. And so what I would say is finding a way to be engaged in the networking and using both IndyFluence and Indy Hub and connections you can get through that will help them, especially if they're students at a Marion who are here and local. They can start getting engaged now.
Mm-hmm. I also do these candid career chats with folks around the city and other places as well, but mostly around the city. And I ask them, like, if you could give one piece of advice to a college student, what would it be? Networking. Every time, every single time. It's like, I trained them beforehand to say that, but I don't, but it's just it's so important.
You know, I think we go ahead, Liz, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to
go, yeah.
Go ahead. Zoom, the Zoom stuff, man. No, we can't read each other's cues. Take it away. I'm stepping back.
No, mine was going to be very tactical, which was going to be, the reality is the job market, the way job descriptions are written right now, you know, people can put all the keywords in they want. There still will be 2,000 applicants for every job. It doesn't mean that there's a shortage of jobs. It just means there's that many people swinging at every single bat or every single ball. And so networking gives you the opportunity to listen, learn, and help tailor where you go in a way that just isn't going to happen from written job descriptions. And I would tell you, probably in the last week, 8 different college students help them get to places where I know they're going to end up finding jobs. Took me less than maybe 30 minutes of my time. It's going to take them a lot more to follow through. But I would say to all the students, that is a distinguishing factor about Indy, is people are willing to open up those networks to the students. So
there've been multiple.
I mean, I was going to mimic.
Yeah.
I was going to essentially echo exactly what Liz is saying. And, you know, we talk a lot about 2 degrees of separation in this community, that, you know, you get connected to one person, you're connected to hundreds, right? And to Liz's point, those conversations are usually meaningful. They're intentional. They're, you know, you can get connected to people you need to get connected to really build an extraordinary life here. And I would just simply say every single job I've had since graduating from college has been a result of having built meaningful, authentic relationships with individuals that along the way have helped me get to where I'm at, right? And I feel very lucky that Indianapolis is the kind of city where that's very, very fertile soil to be doing that kind of work in.
I wholeheartely agree. I'm a transplant, so I moved here in 2012, and the people have just absolutely been amazing. And I've done 20 some candid career chats, and that is a theme throughout that too. Like, the people in Indianapolis will embrace you. Mm-hmm. And so, and I love that. And I love IndyFluence, and I love all the things that I've heard from you today. And I just want to thank you for your time. And if there's any way that we can continue some sort of partnership or relationship or whatever you might need from me or my role, please reach out.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Brandy. Take care.